I'm Joyce Pialunga.
I'm Gina Pialunga. Own our businesses from past to present. Going to add quilt shop in there because that's what we are now. When I started 20 years ago almost, 20 years, I started in an upstairs apartment that I turned into an office, and I did photo editing, video editing. I printed photos on fabric for quilters and slowly have expanded from there. My quilters that I printed photos on fabric for kept begging me to sell fabric. So when the opportunity opened to move to a downstairs location that was on Main Street, I expanded, still doing the photo work and adding fabric, and we've slowly expanded from there.
And when I retired from nursing, I came in to help her out. Then she left me. She trained me and left me.
I got a regular job with health insurance.
And I quit my 9-to-5 job when I retired to work 24/7. Yes, and that makes sense.
That started when I finished school. I did my 5-year degree for undergraduates. And then I went into graduate school. And when I finished the coursework up, I looked around at jobs and they wanted me to implement brand new software and programs and pay me minimum wage. And I thought, why not open my own business using my undergraduate degree? And that's what it started with, because I do have an undergraduate degree in photography. Mm-hmm.
Now, her brother, my son, just opened his own electrical business. He's still a union electrician, but he's now doing, like, if you need something at your house, he can come and fix it.
Oh, residential.
Yeah, residential. It's JP's Electrical Services.
Ohio Valley Electrical Services.
Thank you.
It's another long business name.
We like long names.
So he's
go with our last name.
He is a sole ownership.
Yeah. Wow.
And even with having the degree, I did find out it was a lot more than just working 9 to 5 at a place, going in, you start your work at 8, 9, whatever time you start, and you finish up at 5 and you go home and you're done for the day. You're not. Mm-hmm. You run your own business. You are, like my mom said earlier, 24/7. You don't have much of a life because you're trying to get your business off the ground. So you set your hours of, okay, I can meet you on Saturday. Yeah, I can meet you on Sunday. No problem. Oh, well, we're going to set up at this place. So now I'm working a 4-day weekend. I'm working Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday for teardown. And I'm working then whatever the hours are for whatever show I'm set up at or whatever event like the county fair, just to get your name out. Mm-hmm. She's a better answer at that one.
That depends upon your business. Some days I walk in with customers and leave with customers, and other days I could be in here alone. We get more travelers in than the local people.
The travelers will plan their trip on, there's a quilt shop. We can stop there and take a break and stretch and look and see what they have that maybe we don't see in our area fabric-wise. Because every location is different likes and needs.
It's kind of like when you think of when people vacation, and they always go away. And every time I've gone somewhere, I'm like, where do people that lived in the Bahamas go on vacation?
Yeah.
It's just weird. We always have this somewhere else.
Yeah.
Feeling about it.
Yeah.
That's very true.
Or where did people in Europe go?
Right. Yeah.
No,
They come here.
yeah.
Yeah. So, but you become kind of a destination business.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Websites.
Okay.
Googles.
Yeah, and there are books that like different companies put out that are pertain to traveling with quilting. So they will go and they can look in there, and maybe you're listed in this one that went out in 2020, but you're not listed in the one that came out in 2024. So if somebody has an old one, they can find you, but they have a new one they might not.
Yeah. So it's a really niche audience.
Yeah.
Is there such a thing as a radio?
Yes, there are.
Okay. And do they come from a distance as well, or?
Sometimes, especially now, because there was a quilt shop in Zanesville that closed. There was one in Moundsville that closed. So we're really the only one for, say, 50-mile radius or more. So, yes, now we get a...
When we opened selling fabric, there was even one in Barnesville.
Yeah.
And she's closed. She closed quite a while ago.
Yeah.
So we've lost a lot of local mics.
Yes. Not as much just because I'm getting old.
And I work a Monday through Friday job, so I'm not available.
I have a class, and it's with the girls that have been with us almost 20 years. They've come forever. But when I do new classes out of 4 to 6 people, maybe 3 finish it. Yeah. And it's a lot of money to start quilting.
And
You know, you have to buy your rulers, you got to buy your fabric, got to buy your rotary cutter, your mat, all kinds of stuff. You could have $200 or $300 in your first class because you need all the basics. And now once you have that, you can do almost any class. You might need an occasional ruler or something different, but
And that $200 to $300 is if you already have your sewing machine.
Yes.
You have to go out and buy a sewing machine for the class. You're spending even more, depending on how much you spend on the machine.
And, you know, to put all that money out and then not finish it, I think I would buy a machine and try to play around with it at home to see if I like it before I... But I do know life gets in the way for people. You have to set your priorities.
Which is...
what do you think is the average age?
Of quilters,
Yeah.
I've had some as young as 7 and some as old as 80.
I love it.
Yeah, I don't think there is an average age. It seems like more young people are starting to get into sewing again, which I like to see.
Well, and I think a lot of that has to do with you're starting to see a lot more of the homesteading in the younger generation,
Yes.
where they're wanting to learn to do all of the stuff their grandparents or great-grandparents did, rather than go out with their friends. They want to stay home now.
And homeschooling, I think, also added to that. Yes. Because they have to include some of this kind of stuff in their teaching.
In the 4-H extension offices are doing more.
And I know of at least one school district who is now putting home ec back into the...
That's good.
Yeah,
They need it.
Who doesn't have to cook? Who doesn't have to mend something? Let alone balance a checkbook. That's a lost art, too.
Yeah. When you do the, like you said, you have a class, is it like so many weeks or how?
Beginner classes, we say 8 to 10 weeks.
Okay.
And we teach them how to pick fabric, to know light, medium, dark fabrics.
Their very first class is actually set up almost on a one-to-one basis, where they come in and pick out their fabric, and we're here to work with them with, okay, you're putting them in this order, you're learning how to choose your colors, you're learning how to put everything together before they even start the process of actually learning how to cut and sew it.
Yeah.
Being proud of what you make doesn't have to be perfect.
That
You know, no one's perfect. Only God's perfect.
Finishing it.
Yeah, finishing it. There's such a pride you can see in them as they do the first block and finish the last block. How much more they've learned, and how much more patient they are with what they're doing. I brought in some of my first goods to show them, look, I wasn't always good at this. You have to start somewhere. And we say, if your points aren't exactly there and you can't see it going by on a slow galloping horse, it's good enough. You know? You have to give in sometimes and say, well, this one didn't turn out perfect, but it's okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then when it does turn out perfect, you're like even more amazed.
Yeah, sure.
Oh, look, no mistakes.
Yeah.
And then you have somebody point them out for you.
So what feels like success in business?
Being able to pay your bills. Yeah. And have people happy with what you do. Come in and, oh, this is exactly what I was looking for.
But understanding that you're not going to make everyone happy with what you have. You're going to have people that leave
Angry sometimes.
or not even just being, oh, you didn't have anything I wanted for my project. So, but now they know where they can come.
And I always feel, hopefully while they were here for those few minutes, I took away some of their pain, whatever's making them feel so angry or upset for the day. And I always tell people sewing is better than therapy. Because when you're working on a project, all you can think about is what you're working on. So all your troubles are gone for that little bit of time.
Makes me very present.
Yes.
Gina?
I did not. I mean,
So now, Gina, no.
tiny bit.
She's better at picking the fabric, and I'm better at teaching the
And
sewing.
that's what happened. I picked the fabrics. Still, and she's gotten a lot better at picking fabrics, but I pick out the fabrics, we pick out the pattern. A lot of times she'll come to me and be like, hey, I'm going to make this. What are we going to pick? And I'll pick out what's going to go into it, and then she'll make the sample. And
Yeah. We work well together, even when we get mad at each other.
I have my hobbies that I like more than sewing.
Like reading.
Reading, yes.
But you figured out
Yes.
your strengths and weaknesses
Yes.
of each other, and
And I'm not saying I can't sew. I can. I have done quilts. It's just not something I really enjoy.
yeah.
And I start them and they sit there for quite a long time before they get finished. That's why I say finishing a project is the first time.
Your person.
I did, and I really enjoyed that. I don't like the cutting. I hate cutting out fabric. If you hand me everything cut out and ready to go, I'm more likely to do the sewing.
That's why they invented things called layer cakes, which are like 10-inch squares, for German packs, which are 5-inch squares, jelly rolls, which are 2.5-inch strips. And there's a lot of patterns out there. They don't have to pick their fabrics. It's already done for them. They walk in, they buy a jelly roll, and they can make a jelly roll quilt. Or they can use it, cut it up into smaller pieces.
So they can buy a German pack and make this table runner,
Yes.
or a layer cake and make a quilt just with 10-inch squares.
Oh, ha.
I'm going to say what I have the biggest feeling of failure is when we have somebody that comes to a class and they just quit coming.
Yes.
Like they'll start that beginner class and they'll be so excited, and then 3 weeks in, they just stop showing up. They don't even call and say they're not going to come anymore. They just stop showing up. They stop responding to anything. And you just feel like such a failure because you wonder what you did wrong.
And it might not have anything to do, right? It probably does.
Yeah, it could just be their life, where they are in their lives now. They don't have time for it, but you feel like it's your fault.
Right.
Mm-hmm. I'm sure to some degree.
I'm going to say they have to, because when I started out, it was such a singular business. I did the work. My failure at that time was if I did a photo job for somebody and they hated it, it wasn't what they wanted. And I had to learn that, because I knew that I did my best and what I did was what they asked for. They just did not tell me properly what they wanted, or I went with what the wife wanted and the husband didn't agree. or the woman was just grieving so much that she never was going to be happy with anything that was stuck to her. And today. But I always will remember those failures. They're always there.
That's the saddest part of life. You can hear 1,000 compliments and one complaint. You remember the one complaint.
These church is the I'm sure the me. So 20 years, right? So why do you think it's flexible?
I think because we tried to roll with the changes in life. We see that people are going towards, when I started quilting, it was dark colors. Every productions, calicos, things like that. Now it's bright, and there's animals on things, and it's just, you have to be able to change and keep up with what the changes are. And the saddest part of that for us is we used to go to quilt market every year. They would have, in the fall was always in Houston, in the spring was, say, Utah, Portland, Pittsburgh. So whenever it was close enough, we always went. And that's where you get your inspiration.
That's where you see the new fabrics coming out.
Yeah.
So you're ordering stuff that's not going to show up for 6 months.
Or a year.
Yes.
And that people don't realize that they can't walk in and say, I need this fabric, can you order it? No. You can order, but you have to spend X amount of dollars every time you order. And when you order new fabrics, you guess at what people are going to like.
That's also what was where we got our excitement. You know, we took classes too. We learned new products, and we would go in and we'd sit and watch the actual pattern writer or the book writer talk about their pattern and explain it to you. And you're like, oh, that makes sense. That's going to be easy. And then you're like, well, I want to order that. I want to order these fabrics. And then you go home and you hype it up to your customers. And now without that opportunity and inspiration, we have to look online at everything, just like online shoppers.
So the quilt market doesn't exist.
I see you said they do. They've talked about bringing back the spring one, but they haven't yet. In Houston, we can fly there and do it. But, they give you can buy samples, you can get free literature. Because that is a help. Like, you can't bring that back on the airplane. And to ship it, it's too much of a hassle. So,
and we've done the drive to Houston.
Yes, we have.
But you have to close for a lot of days.
Yeah.
Especially when you're the only two running the business. You're closed the entire time you're gone, so then you're losing business.
It's the same with people will call and ask me to set up as a vendor. I don't do it because I'm here by myself most of the time now. And I just don't want to carry all that heavy stuff anymore. And, then I have to close. And what's the guarantee that I'll make any money? Then I've lost people that came here on a chance. I always tell people check Facebook because I always post on there if I'm going to be closed for a day. And they're usually pretty patient about that. But most of my regular customers know how to reach me if they need something. When my husband had his shoulder replaced, I had to be closed for 2 months. But I had on the window to call and I could come up. I could make a quick run up since I lived close and I could get them what they needed. And that worked out. They're pretty patient with helping you out as well as you helping them out. They really do become like family. Mm-hmm. Sometimes when they're in the area and they don't need fabric, they just stop in to visit.
That's got to be rewarding too.
Yeah, that is very rewarding. I think we're Appalachian. And in Appalachia, they make books like crazy. So to me,
The Appalachian heritage.
yes.
The quilting and the back to the homesteading.
Yes.
That is very big
Yes.
in that area. And I do think we're you listen to people talk and they say, oh no, you're in Ohio, you're not part of Appalachia, but they forget that we're so close to West Virginia and the mountains that we are part of that area, just not as stereotypical as most people think when they think of Appalachia. And yeah.
Because you have a lot of pride in your heritage.
Yeah.
Always, since I've met you 20, however long ago that was.
Yesterday.
Just a minute ago.
It's been almost 20 years because
When we
the old farmers market.
farmers markets when we met you.
Yeah.
And that was when I was still upstairs.
Yeah.
And we had to have the picnic table.
Out back.
Yeah.
Yes.
We still have that.
and the dog. And yeah.
Every time we go to Applebee's and look on that one wall, shows farmers market, and I think
I can pick myself out. And I said, I think that's Crystal. And I said, well, there's Mom, there's me.
yeah, it's right in that little alcove that you're down in.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. We are really very family oriented. My husband tells every woman he's here, he's the silent partner. And my son came and helped her. I do the OVAC banners, not anymore because they went to vinyl, but he came and helped me heat press them and get them going. He said, you sew, I'll do this. And then he even said, show me how to sew. I can do that. So, it takes a village, not just a person or two, to make anything successful. And I love my veterans, as you can tell by my window. Yep.
And it's great.
I miss our farmers market here in town.
I do. That was fun.
It was.
All I know is pulling those.
Yeah, back and forth. Every Tuesday.
Nailing them down the road and across the street and hoping they didn't get away from us. And yeah.
It was fun. That's tough because everybody struggles right now. Yeah, the prices have gone up so much. Just try your best to stay open. Hopefully better times are coming. I always, don't be negative around your customers.
Yes.
That's the big thing. And if you're starting a business, get some advice. Don't think you're young and you know everything because nobody knows everything.
Don't be afraid to share your knowledge.
Yes. My husband says that to me sometimes. Don't you get upset when people bought their stuff somewhere else and want you to help them? I said, no, because if I help them, hopefully they'll remember I helped them and they'll come back.
And I remember when we were first opening, we were out west on vacation and stopped at a quilt shop and we're asking questions like, where do you buy your fabric? Where do you get this? And the owners would not share their information.
We
I'm 13 hours away from you. I don't think I'm going to be your competition because that was before the internet was as big as it is. People didn't shop online like they do now. And people were afraid to share their information because they were afraid we were going to take their business from them. But I would think if
the competition's good for business.
Competition is good for business, but if I have this particular fabric and you have a customer who wants it, you spend the time to find it for them, you would hope they would support you more because you're like, oh yeah, I know where you can buy that, and you're helping.
And that was another thing we did before we opened. We went to a lot of other quilt shops and kind of looked at how they set things up, what fabrics they had, because we felt the lady that had the Moundsville quilt shop, she carried a lot of one brand. So we didn't carry that brand.
I didn't want to compete that much with her.
There's thousands of brands out there.
There are.
So you carry that, we'll carry this, we can help each other then.
Maybe.
And don't be afraid to tell somebody, well, so-and-so has this, I'm sorry I don't. Because you can't please everyone and you can't have what everyone wants.
You can't carry everything. There's just not enough space or money to carry everything for everything.
And watch your budget. You get into big trouble when you, like us, when we went to Quilt Market. Well, it doesn't come for 6 months. Well, what if that 6 months you don't have much business? You got to pay those bills when it rolls in. So you have to know, you have the money before you spend it.
Yes.
That's a hard lesson to learn.
That's a very hard lesson of them. That's because they go crazy.
Yeah,
Because you want everything. You're so excited to start.
it's a buyer's frenzy.
Yes.
You're like, oh, I want this, and I know it'll only be available for this limited amount of time, and I've got to have this because I love it.
It's like going to an auction, you get caught up in it. And when they bring the fabric in, you get caught up in, oh, I love that. Yeah, I want that. I want this. Then when you get the tally and you owe them $10,000, you're like, where's that going to come from?
And then it shows up, and you look at it, and you're like, why did I order this?
And I don't
Nobody's
remember.
gonna want it.
And I don't remember ordering that. Where am I going to put this? Yeah.
My goodness.
I can't even imagine owning a restaurant, because how can you guess what people want to eat, and you can only serve it and keep it so long you have to throw it away? At least we can sell our stuff.
I have always said, though, that if I'm not excited about the fabric we have, I can't sell it. Because if I don't like it, I'm not going to want to.
And you're not going to push it.
Yeah, I'm not going to want to show you, oh, well, look at this one. Isn't it pretty? And you're going to tell by my tone of voice and the look on my face that I really
Don't like it.
this. But if I'm excited, I can be like, isn't this beautiful fabric? Look at all the colors and the just the way they work together, and it'll work really well with this fabric in the shop to make this quilt. So,
And one quilt market we went to, an example of that, I saw this fabric and I said, that's the ugliest fabric I ever saw. Then when we went back for our appointment, there was this beautiful quilt on the table. And I love this quilt. What fabric is it? It was the fabric I hated. And it made the most beautiful quilt. So we bought it because we thought if it can turn out that pretty, you have to be able to see beyond the colors sometimes.
Yeah. And that's what so many people have trouble in all facets of life.
Yes.
Seeing beyond.
And
looking outside the box.
And most, like, they'll bring in a magazine and say, I want to make this quilt out of this fabric. Well, when they printed that particular magazine was a year ago. That fabric was already out. So that fabric's probably 2 years old. You might be lucky and find it. Then again, you might not. So you have to help them see outside the box.
I have to say, sometimes I'm guilty of that myself.
Yes.
Looking at a pattern and being like, but I want that fabric. And trying to find something that even will remotely look like that to replace that fabric, because it is the perfect fabric for that pattern, and I want that fabric. I'm just as guilty of it.
Well, we all are. But yeah, you have to be able to look somewhere else and see, well, this could be pretty. And I have a lot of customers that come in wanting something, and then I show them, well, I like your idea better. So, yeah, you just have to test the waters. And sometimes they come in and they don't want you to even talk to them. You pick up on that. So I just kind of leave them alone.
I think that's cool, helping them see the possibility in there.
Then you hear.
Absolutely. That's
I would say support your small businesses, because that is the backbone of America.
That's who's going to support your communities.
Yes.
Your small businesses are going to be the ones that donate to the schools and to the fundraisers for any fundraiser. So they're going to be the ones who donate. And if they're not supported, they can't afford to support anyone else.
Well, the first biggest support is word of mouth. You don't have to spend money to support somebody. Not everybody likes the same thing. So you may not be a sewer, but you could say, well, I know this little shop. They can help you, I'm sure.
Or I've been in there just to see what they have, and they have the most beautiful fabrics and beautiful colors.
And they have stuff I wouldn't have thought they'd carry. Or, share their stuff on Facebook if somebody should. All you need to do is reach one more person sometimes to make ends meet.
Word of mouth is the biggest way to support your local businesses, your local small businesses.
I have so many things going through my head.
Questions?
Of your own.
Wow. That's where to go with it. I'm like, oh, you had so many wonderful points.
I'm also going to say, don't judge the small business owner based on their age. I was young when I started this, and I had a lot of people that when they came in, they looked at me and they're like, oh, she's too young to know anything.
And a lot of times they'd say, where's your mother?
Yes, they'd ask,
Yeah.
was your mom around?
And then I'd go see what they want. And they would, and I'd say, Gina, I think we need your help. And then bam, they knew she knew what she was talking about more than I did.
But because I was young when I started, and I really didn't do much sewing, they automatically, not going to say assume, they automatically presumed that I had no knowledge. But at the same time, we went and took classes together. I was right there next to her learning how to do it. I just didn't do it as often as she did, but I still understood it.
Before we opened, we went and got certified as quilt teachers with Eleanor Burns, who did Quilt in a Day. And she used to have a TV show. We went to Paducah, Kentucky
To restore
to her store and became certified teachers. We were there a week, something like that. And we both had to sew exactly what they showed, so that we could.
We learned how to make the squares from her teacher.
Yeah.
She had another one or two women that worked with her, but they were all there doing it. She told stories about when she first started quilting, and then they taught us how to make the squares. They talked about people we didn't believe because it's called Quilt in a Day. Don't believe that it's Quilt in a Day, So it was more than just learning to sew. It was learning about the industry and how to become a teacher. But we both learned exactly what to do, how to cut, how to use the machine. We should have known how to use the machine. She did have to help me. Mom had to help me with that one. But we came home certified and knowing what to do.
On the business end of things,
Absolutely not. It was by the grace of God and the seat of my pants. I figured that one out.
Well, your dad always has good ideas.
He does.
He's pretty good at guiding what to do. I always laughed because when I'd be stuck on a project and think, I don't know what the heck I'm going to do here. It's not working right. And he'd give me a suggestion and I'd be like, how would you know? You don't sew. And it would work. And I'd be like, well, I guess he knows more than I think he does,
Yeah.
But just from watching, just through even like COVID when we made masks, he sat right there. He'd turn them in right side out for me after I'd sew them. And we'd do like 150 on a weekend, which was Friday night to Sunday morning, almost up 24. And he would help me with them. And by Monday at noon, they'd be gone. We'd be like, oh no, we got to do this again. But he's always been our biggest cheerleader.
Yep.
And her brother too. When I need something, he'd do it.
When I first opened and I started setting up a county fair, my mom, my dad, my brother, they were all there helping me set up. They were helping me hang stuff. They were helping me just get set up. And then I would come back and run the shop, and my dad would sit at the fair and man the booth for me the entire time until the evening. And then I would close the shop and go and give him a break. And that's how we did things because Mom was at work and my brother was at work. And so my dad and I were the ones manning the booth. And he'd be like, well, you may not know how to answer it, but my daughter will be back this afternoon and she can explain it better than I can.
And he used to watch the shop for us. He said till we grew too big, and then he just was. But I've had patients. I've had clients come in, and they'll say, your husband helped me pick this out. He did really well. And I'm like, I always thought he was colorblind a little, but he did okay with them. So the only thing he doesn't want to do is ring them out because we use square.
okay.
And that he doesn't like that. He just adds it up on paper and he'll do it that way. But almost everybody pays by credit card now, or debit cards. So you have to use something.
Yep.
And we don't charge the percentage. It's not fair to them either. So
Just on a side note, I remember I was wearing a ring John made.
the spoon ring.
Yeah. He's still doing that?
Not so much. Yeah, he's been too busy with opening his business. Yeah.
Oh, those are,
Yeah.
Yeah.
When we had the first art walks, when he did that,
because
I
I
said,
set up in here.
we got to do some stuff other than just quilting stuff. You want to do something? He said, yeah, maybe I could do some jewelry or something. Okay, go for it. He did pretty good with it. Yeah. He's very artsy, and so's Gina. He has a landscape degree.
Oh,
And when they did the bike trail, he put in a bid to do it. He came in second. Yeah, he did all his by hand. He didn't have a CAD machine or anything. And when it was all over, the one guy that judged said, I think I know which one was yours, John. He said, you always were meticulous with your drawings. So, you know, we were nervous. He opened his own landscape business then, but he had that baby face and everyone thought he was too young and didn't know what he was doing. So that's when he moved away and worked down south.
oh,
Then he came back and went back to school for an electrician, and that's what he's doing now. So he has 2 degrees.
okay. And I care.
Yeah, yeah,
It's a long time ago.
Reasons.
yeah,
It was a long time ago because I was still in college.
yeah.
When the way a month ago.
And moved to year 2000.
So, when you've traveled with the quilts, has anything, the whole Appalachia concept is fascinating. Doing a lot of research around it. So, does anyone, does where you're from come into play in conversation?
It did when we came up the Natchez Trail in Mississippi.
Yes.
Remember?
We drove home from Quilt Market.
Yes, from Houston. And we decided to come up the Natchez Trail because we thought that would, when we stopped at this little gas station and they started, oh, you're from Ohio, blah, blah, blah. You know how you talk. And I said, we're quilters. You want some jeans? They ran home and got us a bag full of jeans to make a quilt with.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They knew. They had been saving them for a quilter, specifically for a quilter, and they ran home and got them and gave them to us, and we hauled them back to Ohio.
Yeah.
Wow.
That wasn't any of the ones in JD's.
They made Jade beautiful quote.
Out of his jeans, Sarah's, and Gabe's. Yeah.
It's really cool. It's beautiful.
And we made one for you for somebody in England, too.
A picture.
Yeah, well, picture.
Yeah.
Her father.
Yeah.
We went to England.
Yeah.
You know, all those years ago, and we wanted to thank his brother.
Yeah.
So we have all these photos, and we brought it in, and they made this beautiful quilt that we sent to them, and it was like pictures from
Yeah.
one of them and their cats.
Oh, that's
And then I made a pillow.
I was going to say, I think we did a pillow, too.
In Mallorca. It was really cool. They were standing, like, looking out on the water. It was a photo we took. Even Marsha, of course, is going, but it's too. No, it was beautiful. Just a pillow.
Yeah.
Picture is really neat. So,
We have one lady that always sends, she always has me make stuff she sends home to her family in Germany.
wow.
Yeah.
So your work's all around.
Yes, it is.
That's pretty cool too.
Yeah. That makes you feel proud. If people think your work is good enough to do that.
Absolutely.
There's a lot to learn in any field.
yes.
And most of the time, I say learning by mistakes is your best teacher. Because how can you improve if you never know it's wrong? So don't take criticism as always being mean. It's a guidance sometimes.
And those are the things you'll remember.
Yes.
Sometimes you have to try it on your own and
Yeah.
screw it up to understand.
Yes.
What you did wrong
Yeah.
and how to fix it and whether or not you're going to ever enjoy doing it.
I feel like there's some personal.
Personal experiences there.
Yeah, she doesn't enjoy doing it, but she's a great critic. And never mean about it. She'll spot something and I'll say, I didn't see that.
Like a fabric that was put in backwards.
Yeah, I do. I'm famous for that one piece. Always is backwards.
Yeah.
But it's a color that you can't tell front from the back. Like when you're sewing late at night and your eyes are tired.
Yeah.
and and she'll say, Mom, that piece is in cut out. Oh, well, it's quilted now. You know. But yeah, one lady did a quilt. She did the Ohio Star, and she did her stars backwards. Instead of the points going out, they went in. And she did the whole quilt like that. And I said, I would not tear it out now. So you just invented a new design.
And I know you.
She talks about that all the time.
And it's Gina that pointed it out to me.
She brought it to Tuesday night
Yes.
and told us all about it. And we're all going, this is so beautiful.
That's what we told her.
Invented a pattern.
She did an Eleanor Burns quilt and this pattern. And I said, I took a picture of it. I took it to Quilt Market and showed it to Eleanor. And she goes, I kind of like it like that. And I said, just because it's not the way the pattern went doesn't mean it's wrong.
And I only pointed it out to her
Because you wanted her to know.
that it was
Backward.
backwards, not that there was anything wrong with it. It just,
Yeah.
if somebody pointed out, well, it doesn't look like the picture, that's why.
Yeah. And, it was, it was. And I kind of liked it the way she did it.
Yeah.
I said, it's like you're pointing to the picture instead of, yeah. It was funny. And she tells everybody about it. And Gina picked it out. As soon as I showed her, Gina goes, your stars are all backwards. What do you mean they're backwards?
What if she dislikes it?
No,
No.
So it's just,
you just,
now,
you read the directions and you get going and you think, maybe you leave a day or two and then come back to it and you think, well, I know how to do this. I don't have to look at the pattern. Yeah. And like I said, it's not wrong.
Right.
It's her design.
she probably had everything cut out
Yes.
and laid out and didn't think anything of it. And she probably, when she laid it out, laid the star points backwards because they're sewn on separate.
And they looked okay.
And it looked fine. It didn't look wrong. So we just are going to sew.
Yep.
I thought that.
And she's part of the group that started with us from day one.
Has been
Yeah.
coming forever.
Yeah.